So I'm John Benoom from Spectrum Digital, and I'm a digital automation consultant and the account manager for Sargent Electrical.
I'm Dean. I work for Sargent Electrical Services and I am Production Administration Controller.
Obviously, Dean, we've been your partner supplier for probably 5 or 6 years, I would say now.
I would say so, yes.
So if we go back to the start, because we've done quite a bit in that time, obviously we first engaged around the accounts payable side of the business. Before we started chatting and working together, what was that like in the business?
So in the business, it was very much person-oriented or people-oriented. There was a lot of going backwards and forwards with the paperwork, a lot of time spent marrying invoices up to purchase orders and things like that and tracing it through the accounts. And when it came to an audit or a check of those pieces of information, it was very, very manual and it took a very long time. And we wanted to find a way to make that more automated and ultimately speed it up and make it more accurate moving forward.
Yeah, I seem to recollect that because, when we engaged in conversations, it was a competitive situation, but also, they were your key objectives. But also, I remember Anne, who heads finance, was a bit sceptical that technology would be able to help. We eventually won her over, but how does Anne find it now?
Oh, she finds it fantastic now. So, for example, we've recently been audited. We were so confident with the system that was implemented that we handed the system over to the auditors to check through all the information that they needed. So from where we've come from a very skeptical point of view, through working with you and implementing this system, we're now at a point of being so confident with it that we're willing to hand it over to an external body to look at.
Fantastic. I like to think I actually, advocate that to prospective clients, but to actually hear customers, doing that, that's always really positive. So, one of the things I recall from our initial discussions was that, you're across 2 sites.
Yes.
And there was a lot of people walking, well, certainly, Anne and Gemma would be crossing across the courtyard to each site, trying to get things signed off, approved, etc. like that. How's that been overcome now?
Oh, it's almost non-existent at this point. So a lot of the queries would be around purchase orders. So what's being bought and why it's being bought, and just querying to make sure that everything's okay before it can process through the system. And the system that was implemented actually flags up those questions for people to be able to answer on their computers through Therefore. So it's basically eliminated it at this point.
Cool. So I think for me, there's a couple of other things around that. In that, obviously, when we were talking, I was kind of advocating that Therefore was like a platform product. So now that we've got accounts payable working and things like that, we then looked into another process on the sales side of things that things were slipping through the net, and you both or yourself highlighted actually I think Therefore might be able to help us here. So can you just outline what the problem was and how we overcame it?
Yeah, sure. So the problem was that when we were receiving sales orders, sometimes they weren't being placed onto our system for us to be able to process, either because they were lost, as in they went into a junk mail folder, or perhaps the person's email box that they went into, they just forgot to do it. And it got to a point where these orders were getting forgotten until the customer was actually inquiring as to where's my stuff. And at that point, we, of course, reacted best way that we could. We would rush orders through. But it became more and more frequent. We've got more and more busy over the years, so more and more sales orders coming in, more and more people looking at them, and potential for more and more problems was there. So the solution that we asked for was, would it be possible for Therefore to be able to help us keep track of the sales orders that we've processed onto our system? And the system works by capturing those sales orders for us and setting up a process that must be done in order for that process to be closed. And if that process is not completed, then people start getting alerts this still hasn't been processed. You've started this process, it's still not finished. Could you please have a look at it so that we're not missing anything? And we are not missing anything.
So what was the impact when you were getting, you know, the notification from a customer, where's my order? And you're like, where is your order? What impact does that have on, you know, the manufacturing side of the business?
Significant. So we plan orders 4 to 6 weeks in advance based on when we receive the orders from the customer. So if we've missed something in that and then we have to start dropping orders or creating time, it has an impact on all of our customers. And we start having to do things like overtime or things along those lines to try and get those orders in place. It becomes very, very costly to us. It's
just another example, isn't it, of that information management tool being able to use those workflows to notify people this was started, it hasn't finished, FYI, because, you know, you're a really busy business and things can slip through the net and you don't want expensive orders being missed and then having the knock-on effect of having to make that right when you've already got the orders for this period in place and being, you know, outputted. So that's good to hear. So obviously we work closely together, and, you know, over time I've come to you with lots of other little ideas. Not all of them have, you know, necessarily been required, but one of the things that we mentioned on one of our catch-ups was around, did you have any sort of manual processes where you had people keying, double keying, triple keying information into a system? You had a bit of a light bulb moment where I can think of one specifically. Can you just outline what that is?
Yeah, so in manufacturing, we have a process called backflushing, which in essence is allocating an issue in stock against works orders. And the way that it works through our system is that someone must sit in front of a computer, they must type in an order number, they must then process that order through on the system. And it can take anywhere between 2 and 7 minutes for one order to be processed. We do between 6,000 and 8,000 orders a month. So the time impact that was having on our manufacturing was significant. Not only was it a significant amount of time, but the people that had to do it were supervisors or people in leading positions. So that was also having an effect on our quality, because while they were away from their station, they weren't out on the shop floor solving the problems, being that first point of call if anything was to go wrong in manufacturing. So that was the process.
What was the cure? I love this topic, so, you know, I'll let you explain it. But what did we do?
So you suggested that we use RPA, Spectra, to automate this process or semi-automate this process as far as we could. So you've implemented a system where all we have to do now is scan a barcode on the works order, and Spectra will then take over and do that, what was a manual process, automatically for us. So it saved us a significant amount of time. And the feedback that we've had from the shop floor on that is it's the best thing we've ever done.
Is it really?
Yes.
So a little digital robot that just goes on, does all the inputting of the information.
Yeah.
It is the best thing that you've done.
Yeah.
I love it.
My name's Shane, I work for Sargent Electrical Services. This is Ewan. I'm the Entertainments Director and Ewan's the Operations Director. I think it's the other way around, isn't it? Yeah, no, I'm the Operations Director and I've worked here for about 7 years. When I first came into this business, the Managing Director sort of said to us, you won't get rid of, you won't stop backflushing. The people around here won't backflush. So we went from a stage where 1 or 2 people were tied to backflushing for the week to sharing that task out, so that we could see a picture of the business where it was at any one point in time.
I guess that's what I like about you. You kind of always go against the norm, if you like. You don't accept a no. You're like, there will be a way. I just need to find the way. And, you know, it's been good that along that journey, we've been able to add a few pieces to that jigsaw to, you know, because ultimately since you've come in, it's all been about trying to make you more efficient and get things through the factory as quickly as possible. You know, you've got some really big, you know, blue chip clients in your sector, and ultimately the more efficient you are, the more you can be of service to them.
Well, I think I once said to you, overtime, we do overtime when we have to. It's a dirty word when you're an operations manager or an operations director. you want to keep those costs down and the efficiency there and the quality. I think when we've got that time back through the therefore and the RPA that you've put in place, we've had the ability to concentrate on some of our quality. So there are some hidden things that you don't see, apart from not backflushing. We may make less mistakes because we've got the time to concentrate. We have that time to think. And like you say, yeah, it has definitely been a journey, but I think it starts with Dean or I having a bit of a wish list, but you introduce us to come up with something. Yeah. It might sound strange, or it might, but what's not possible today will be possible tomorrow. When we first started, we started on the therefore system, and the RPA system wasn't around, but we were probably trying to think of that at that time, but said, no, we can't do it. And now through the introduction of that and further techniques and tools, we're there. And I think when you leave here, we think about another idea and sort of ring up and say, what about this? And you now go, yes.
Yeah. No, I like that. And I like the way you challenge us, you know, because ultimately we're a technology company. We're about trying to deliver efficiency in the admin side of an organisation, manufacturing, wholesale distribution, whatever it may be. But ultimately, you're like, John, Dean and I have been thinking, and often it's like on a Friday morning just before you finish at lunchtime, you're like, yeah, we'll pick the phone up, we'll talk to John and see if you can do that. And we like that because ultimately it gives us an opportunity to go and look for other softwares that we can then offer people down the line. So keep it up. Love working with you both. It's a great partnership, and look forward to many more projects.
Same here.